Good morning, everybody. Chef Abrucha Vatzluchu. Ki titzeh lemilchama becha, when you go out on your enemy. So, first of all, we're talking about go out on your enemy. Go out and don't wait till the enemy comes to you. So the normal thing is we're talking about an enemy that a normal physical enemy, but it's very interesting. Ki titzeh lemilchama loivecha is in plural. Unetano Hashem Elokecha b'decha, and God will give him in your hand, is in singular. So Chazal say to us that this is the war against the bad inclination, against Yetzer Hara, which is the worst world in the world, and it's not finishing. It's always, all the time, you have to be on guard in order to fight this war. So that's why the Torah tells you, Ki titzeh lemilchama, do the first move, and God will help you. If you do the first move, God is going with you and is going to give you in your hand. Now, as we said, we're taking Ki titzeh lemilchama al oivecha, on your enemy, not for your friends, not on your family, not on your people. And unfortunately, when we look around, we see what's happening. It's terrible. And that's exactly the thing. We should not go on war with our brothers, with our sisters. We should go a war against our real enemies. And the way maybe to learn it is, first of all, to learn how we fight this bad inclination. How do we fight Yetzer Hara? And the Torah tells us one of the most important things is that we look at things, when we look at them from the outside, we don't always know what is right and what is wrong. The Torah tells us, it's dikwet tzaddik, you should justify the tzaddik and you convict the wicked. Unfortunately, we don't always know who is what and who is who. Why? Because, like they're talking about here, this fight against democracy, anarchy, By the way, it's very interesting when we're talking about this. You know, we all know the communism. And if you remember it, it all started when they wanted to take off the Tsar, which was, as they said, evil and did a lot of bad things. So they said all the friends, all the workers should unite and should go against, and we'll all be brothers and sisters, comrade. And we all know what happens. The communist regime was much, much worse than the Tsar regime, from the monarchy. They did, in the name of justice and friendship and all that, they did the most terrible things in the world. And the innocent people all around, they run after it. They said, wow, they're going to save us from the monarchy. They're going to give us good life. We're all going to be equal. But we all know that it was all a cover-up. It was a fiction. And the real truth was that they were much worse than the monarchy. And those who had the power, they ruled and controlled in the most evil ways on all the miskanim and all the innocent people. So we should be very careful to who we listen and don't look at what it looks for outside. It reminds me, in our warehouse, we have boxes, and the boxes, for example, chairs. So sometimes you get a number, which is very difficult. You have to look at the number, what chair is exactly in the box. But the easiest way is when we get a box, and mostly that's how we get it, we demand it, that on the box you will have not only the code, the item number, also a picture of the item or a drawing, so you know exactly what's inside. So if you ask the warehouse, in charge, the worker in the warehouse, to take you the chair from this kind of chair, so they find it in minutes with no problem. If there is a code, it's more complicated, but sometimes there's a different problem. Sometimes you don't know what is in the box. For example, we bring boxes with 4 chairs, and somebody wants 6 chairs. So I have to take 1.5 boxes. So what do you do with the other 2 chairs? I put them in another box. And sometimes the guy in charge, the manager of the warehouse, he doesn't make sure that he writes what is now in the box instead of what is showing on the outside. In other words, from the outside you have a picture of a chair, but at the inside, it's not the same chair that you have on the picture. It's a whole different thing. And this is something to learn. Sometimes we see people, they say things, they look good, and from the outside, and we think, wow, what good people they are. But we don't know what's inside. And sometimes inside the box is a terrible, evil guy. Sometimes it's very complicated to know what is this guy. It's only a number. We don't exactly know exactly how good he is, or chas v'sholom, how bad he is. But the worst thing is that he shows himself like a good, righteous person, but the inside is evil. And that's what the Torah tells us. The Torah tells us you should justify the tzaddik. What do you mean? Of course I'm going to justify the tzaddik. No. Check if he is a real tzaddik. Maybe he's not a real tzaddik. Maybe only from the outside he looks like a tzaddik. And the same thing is shiur tarasha. And you should convict the wicked. And here also you have to check if the guy is really wicked. You know, in my lifetime, and I think all of us, we meet people that look from the outside, they don't believe or they don't look so good. And then we find this guy is an unbelievable guy. He's really a believer. I had a lot of arguments with people that came without a yarmulke, without a kippah. And they looked like they know nothing about the Torah. And suddenly I found out, wow, they know so much. And sometimes you see a person that from the outside, from the act he does, you think he's doing an evil thing. But you find out that it's the best thing in the world. Like the Rav Pinkus, he says always, you look in the hole of the keyhole, and you see a guy with a knife is cutting somebody. He's killing. You open the door, what do you see? You see a doctor making making a surgery on a guy, and he's really saving his life. But it looks like a murder. It looks like he's cutting when you look at the keyhole. In other words, when you look at the keyhole, you don't see what was before, what was going to happen. You don't see the whole picture. And in life also, do we see the whole picture? Definitely not. A lot of times we can do mistakes and think that we see and we know what we see, but unfortunately it's not true. For example, another thing, you see somebody driving on Shabbos. Wow, Machal Shabbos. But then you find out the guy was going to hospital, or so on the same way. The point is, we are standing now in Chodesh Elul, Chodesh HaSlicha v'Harachamim. Ani ledodi v'dodi li. That's the time we say, HaMelech Basadeh, the king is in the field. Kodesh Baruch Hu is here with us. He's opening his arms. He wants us only to come and embrace him. That's what he wants. That's the best way to, but we have to show God that we understand that he's looking at us now more than all the year. I had in my warehouse, we're talking about again the warehouse, I had two workers, and you know, they didn't work very hard. But the chutzpah was when I came to the warehouse and I saw one was going on sitting. Like, I'm coming in and he sits, does nothing. The other guy, when he saw me, he started getting up and he started working and doing things. Of course, I should fire both of them, because I don't need to check him every minute. And the guy who is like doesn't care at all, of course I have to fire him. But then I thought, it's not very easy to find workers. But when I understood that the minute he realizes that I am here, that I'm looking at him, he is working, I says, for him, I've got a solution. I can make him a good worker. And the other guy, that he doesn't care when I'm coming in the warehouse, he's still sitting and doing nothing. This guy, I have to fire. And this guy I'm firing. The other guy, what I told him is, see, we have a camera here, but I'm going to put more cameras. In other words, everywhere in the warehouse, there are cameras and people are watching what you're doing the whole day. So now I know that the guy, knowing that people are watching him, I'm watching him, or somebody else is watching him, he's going to start working because he got up when I came in. But the other guy, that's worse. The same thing is Chodesh Elul. God is watching us, and he's now got a special watch, Chodesh Elul, and a good watch. And you are going on sitting, doing nothing. What do you think God is going to do? Chas v'sholem is going to fire you. That's it. You finished. From the other side, when he sees that you realize it's Chodesh Elul and God is looking at you with another camera, with another eye. Oh, when you get up and do things, he says, okay, this guy I can work with. And this is what we have to show God, that we are people, that we realize, when we realize that God is looking, that God is watching us, even if it's only now, when it's already a step ahead. And that's what the Torah tells us. Do the first step. Go out of yourself. Go out of your normal life, not doing a lot for God. Go out and fight Yetzer Hara. And if you do this, even though you know that you're doing it because it's Chodesh Elul, doesn't matter. God looks at you, and he gives you the help to win the war. And we have to understand, בדרך שאדם רוצה ללך מוליכים אותו, in a way that you want to walk. God helps you to walk. So if you go in the evil way, חס ושלום, מסיים בידו, you're going to go there. If you're going in the good way, even if you only started, and God realized this is real, you want to do it, He is helping you to go on the good way. So what God wants of us, כי תצא למלחמה על אויביך. Do the first step. The first step you do, and you are on the good way. And realize and look around. Don't listen to everybody. Check if the guy you're listening to, even if he looks at the greatest rabbi in the world, the greatest guy in the world, check if this is the real face, if this is what is in the box, or it's only a cover-up. From the other side, don't judge so quickly if you see somebody and you think that he is evil, chas v'sholom. Check, maybe you're mistaken with your mind, you don't know the whole picture. And realize that at the end of the day, we really don't know the whole picture. The picture is big. We don't know what was before. We don't know what's going to happen next. We know now. And this is exactly the point. Now is the time. Now is the time to do the best that we can, especially in Chodesh Elul, Chodesh Haslicha v'Rachamim. Now is the time to show God that we realize that He's watching us, and it's a special watch now, and we're going to do better, especially in those days. All the best, and Shefa, Baruch, V'Atzlocha.